Hi guys, welcome to Journey on a Journey talk show. In this channel, we'll be talking about the social issues that are affecting all of us Kenyans across the socio-economical status. Kindly remember to like, subscribe, and press the notification bell so that you can get to know when we are posting such videos. Today we are going to talk about the adoption process, specifically in Kenya. And we will be talking to individuals that have been doing this for years, so they are very well knowledgeable about this process. And on my left is
Jacqueline Wambui. I work with KKPI Adoption Society.
and on my right.
Winny Khisa, social worker.
We'll start with you, Jackie. Kindly tell us what is an adoption society and what qualifies an entity to be an adoption society.
An adoption society is an organization that facilitates the adoption process. It does two things. It will vet the parent who wants to adopt, and secondly, it will declare a child free, meaning that it will take the child through a process, and at the end of the day, the child is able to be placed for adoption.
Winnie, tell us who can be adopted. Can somebody adopt Jenny? If today I decide I need someone to adopt me, can I be adopted? Who can be adopted?
A child who can be adopted, actually we need a child who is free for adoption, who is free for adoption, and a child who can be adopted is a child who is less than 18 years. That is a child who can be adopted. So actually you don't qualify to be adopted because you're already above 18.
Okay.
Yes.
How many categories of children who can be adopted do we have? Or any child can be adopted. If I find a child out there, can I adopt that child?
No, we have abandoned babies. That means we don't know any relative of that child, and this child can be freed by an adoption agency. So this child can be adopted, and we also have kinship, that is interfamily adoption. Those are the kids who can be adopted, but we can't adopt an orphan child.
Okay.
You can't.
Okay. Jackie, tell us, the social workers mentioned about a child who is free for adoption. What do we mean by free for adoption?
What it means for a child to be free for adoption is ensuring that this child can be able to go to a parent and adopt it.
Okay.
So there's a process that this child is taken through to ensure that at the end of the day, the child can be placed for adoption. Depending on the situation of the child, as you mentioned, is an abandoned child, and there are documents that relate to a child being abandoned. And at the end of the day, the adoption society going through these documents and coming up with the reports to confirm that this child can actually go for adoption. And then there's also children who are given up by their parents or by guardians. And this is another category where we also have documents to be able to confirm that this child has been duly given up by the parents and can go for adoption without having any issues.
Who can adopt? What are the qualifications or what are the requirements for a Kenyan to adopt a child, Jackie?
A person who is able to adopt, number one, should not be less than 25 years and should not be above 65 years. Number two, should be a Kenyan citizen as per right now. Number three, the person should be involved in an income generating activity so that this person is actually able to take care of a child. The person should be of same mind. I think, that's basically it.
Winnie, as a social worker, what is the role of a social worker in the adoption process?
A role of a social worker in the adoption process. One, I have to take through a parent who works in an adoption agency the process on what she needs to do before she qualifies for adoption. And this means I have to make sure that actually before we do anything, this parent knows why she wants to adopt. The process is, there is a form that we always give a parent when she walks in the office. This form has all the requirements that we need as an agency to make sure that when we look at these documents and the parents walks in back with the document, everything is qualified. Like one, we need a photo. This photo will help us to do matching with the parents.
Okay.
We need a legal guardian's letter
Yeah.
that actually, just in case anything happens to this parent who is adopting, this guardian will take good care of this child. We need a letter from a friend to confirm that actually she knows this parent who is adopting.
Yeah.
A letter from a family member. At least if she is in employment or they are in employment, we need a pay slip.
Okay.
And if they're in business, we also need a business certificate to confirm that actually this is what they are doing. We need a certificate of good conduct that actually we are not giving our children to someone who has a criminal record.
Yeah.
Yes. So once the parents bring all this documentation, we will look at them and make sure that everything is in order.
Okay.
And we will plan with the parent when we will do the interview.
Okay.
The interview is more of a parent herself.
Not the child.
Not the child, a parent herself, her background, her marriage history, education, work experience, marriage, everything, health status,
Yeah.
everything that entails that person. So we as an agency, we don't approve the parent. We have a case committee that was appointed by the National Adoption Committee to oversee every parent that comes to an agency.
Okay.
So those are the people who will sit, look at the documentation, make sure that everything is in order.
Okay.
Then they approve the parent. And before they approve the parent, remember, we have already done the interview. We have gone for home assessment to make sure that actually this child is going to an environment that is conducive. Environment that is conducive does not mean that actually we want to go to your house and see you have a TV, you have a fridge. No, just an environment where the child will feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So once we have done that, we will present to the committee will approve. Then once their committee has approved, that is when now we take the application to a children's home.
Okay.
So the children's home, those children who are freed by the adoption agency, those are the children that will be placed by the home.
Okay.
So we have to make sure that the child who is placed by this parent, that child is free for adoption. So once we take the application to the adoption to the home, those are the parents. Now we look at the photos that we have given them from the parent and make sure that actually this child match with the parent that they are going to place. So it is now the home that will place the child
with the
adoptive parent.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Jackie, she has mentioned about freeing of a child. Explain to us that.
Okay, maybe as I stated before, there are two categories of children who can be given out for adoption. The first category is an abandoned child.
Yes.
An abandoned child can mean that that child was either left in a hospital, left somewhere by the roadside, or left with somebody.
Okay.
And nobody knows who the parents of this child are.
Okay.
So what happens is the first thing that you need to do once you find a child is report that matter to the nearest police station.
Okay.
And what the police station does is record that in the OB. Then it's also the work of the police to do investigations to find out if the parent or a guardian to this child can be found. So that now if there's nobody who's coming up or who is known, then another letter is issued to confirm that nobody has ever come up,
Yes.
nobody has been found that can lay claim on the child.
Okay.
Secondly, this child is going to be taken to a children's home once the report has been made to court.
Okay.
So it is wrong for somebody to keep a child in the house who has been deemed abandoned.
Okay.
That child belongs to a children's home.
Children's home, yeah.
So once that child goes to the children's home and the Department of Children's Services work to have a committal done through the court.
The court, okay.
Yes. So this committal again ensures that this child, the home has authority to have this child with them.
Okay.
And it's normally given for a period of time. It's not forever.
Okay.
So that when these investigations are going on, the child is already in a place of safety.
Okay.
And if somebody is found, the child now can be taken, and okay, there's also a process now for the child to be given back.
Yeah.
But that child is already in a place of safety and is going to be given back to the person who's been found. If nobody is found, a final letter is issued by the police.
Yeah.
And then after the final letter is issued by the police, Then we get all the documents as an adoption society, verify, do reports, and take through the case committee, as she mentioned, and the child is freed through the case committee. Yes. So there's also the second category of a mother offered child, and this is where somebody maybe gets a child or gets pregnant and they feel they might not want to take care of this child. So there's also another process that we have to take this child. Because apart from, okay, as much as this person is pregnant and they feel they do not want this child, we have to make sure that people within the family setup are not willing to take care of the child. At times there are social issues that come in and this child is not able to be taken care of within the family. Like for example, if we talk about incest, because of culture, you find this child will not be able to be brought up in the family. So maybe such children will end up in children's homes and then into adoptive families. Again, maybe you find there are people who, because of what they went through when they got pregnant, they might not be ready to raise this child, and they would want to give up the child. So for whatever reasons, but by the time they tell us this is what the reason is, there's also counseling that they've gone through. Because again, this person is not in the right mind when they're making this decision. So you really need to help them understand what it all means. So once the counseling is done and once they give birth and we take the child, because we take the child right at birth and put the child in a children's home again. So the same process, the children's home also has to get authority through court to be able to keep this child. And we also give the parent and that family of this child time to think about whether this is what they want for the child. So once that time elapses, which is by law it's supposed to be 6 weeks, but sometimes we'll extend that time, especially when we see that they still not they haven't come up with consensus as a family. So we'll still give the child more time, but not so long, because again, an institution is not the right place for a child to be brought up. So the easier and the faster it is for them to make up their minds, the better again for the child, so that you also do not have a child staying in the children's home for so long. So again, that child, the documents are collected, taken through. Once you get the final consent from the family and from the girl and probably maybe the father of the child, if the father is available, we take through the case committee. The case committee approves and that child is ready to go for adoption.
So viewers, you can hear the adoption process in Kenya is not very difficult. Just need to take the first step. Winnie, I'll ask you, are Kenyans embracing adoption?
Yes, I can say Kenyans are embracing adoption. We don't have that much stigma as we used to have. We have parents who have biological children who are coming to adopt, and when you ask them why they want to adopt, some of them will just say they want to give thanks to God for giving them their biological children because it was not a must. We have those who don't have, so it's just a way of appreciating God. Some of them will tell you they feel they still have that energy, so they still want to take care of these children, even if we have those parents who have medical issues. But I can say at the same time, people are embracing adoption in Kenya. We have so many parents at the moment who are adopting, and we don't have children to be placed in Kenya right now, which if you go to every agency, they'll tell you we have parents, but we don't have children. So I can say by that, Kenyans have embraced adoption in Kenya.
Wow, that's very nice. It also shows that the level of abandonment of children, it's also going down.
True.
Yeah, it's going down, because if their parents, they're willing to adopt, and then there are no children to be placed for adoption, then it means that we are heading towards the right direction. What if, Jackie, what happens if a child is placed for adoption and then the biological parent comes up? This was an abandoned child without the documentation. The child has been freed. What happens?
If at all the parent had already gone to court or is in the court process, then it means legal measures have to be taken. But again, you can't come and tell me this child is yours. What proof do I have that the child is yours? So meaning we have to come up with a way to prove that the child you're claiming to be yours is yours. And then we also need to find out what happened.
Yeah.
How was the child abandoned? Why was the child abandoned?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, again, as much as this is a biological family, remember, if there are still issues in that family, that might also still not be a conducive environment to bring
Sure.
in that child.
Sure.
So even if you're going to bring back the child to the
Family.
biological family,
Uh-huh.
there are issues that need to be sorted out in that
The
family.
family.
But then there's also the other side of the people who've already adopted, who've taken up a child, and everything has gone through, because once a child is placed with you, there's 3 months we call bonding period. So these 3 months, there are follow-ups that are being done by the Adoption Society and also by the homes.
Okay.
Because homes, as much since they have taken care of these children, they will just want to see that the children are growing up well.
Yeah,
That the way they left them, they're better off in this home. Because that's the intention in an adoption.
Yeah.
So there's also now that parent who has already stayed with the child, and they have bonded with this child. The child has become part of the family. So meaning there are also issues surrounding that.
Okay.
Because at some point the child might have to be removed from that family.
Okay.
So again, that's another process. But by the time you get to that point, you need to find out whether that is the best situation for the child.
Okay. Okay, Jackie was just explaining to us about if a biological parent appears where the child has been placed for adoption, and she has mentioned very clearly there are legal measures that are supposed to be taken, and also considering that the child has taken some time in a children's home, and the child had been freed for adoption. So that's the legal part that our lawyer will take us through. Now, to proceed, I would like to ask you, Jackie, if I want to adopt a child, can I walk into a children's home and choose a child that I want?
Definitely not. Because an adoption agency is actually mandated by the government to be able to process adoptions.
Okay.
It's registered, a registration that runs for 1 year and renewable annually. And they're the people who have the authority to be able to vet a parent and declare a child free for adoption, put them together, and also help them through the process until they finish the court process.
Okay.
So even if you walk into a children's home, actually you cannot even say this is the child I want.
Okay.
Because the other thing is pre-selection is not allowed. It means you have to go to an adoption agency, start from there. Once you have been approved, you will be matched with a child
Okay.
who looks like you, who would be able to blend in your family or blend in with you.
Okay.
And then now from there everything goes on. So you cannot be allowed to walk into a children's home and get a child. You cannot be allowed to choose a specific child to adopt.
Wow. Wow. So it's the work of the social worker at the children's home to match me with a child that looks like me or my family.
And that is after you have been approved.
Okay.
Because you have to go through the approval process first.
Okay, and something to that, Winnie?
Remember, part of the documents, we need your current photo.
Okay.
Your current photo, we always tell our parents, at least bring a photo that is full copy. If you have your biological children, just bring all of it. That like you're together, 3 copies.
Okay.
This photo is the one that will help the social worker of the home to do matching. Because also we might give you a child who is not of your complexion, and you're like, no, this child is not fit in our family. So we always tell parents, kindly bring your current photo as a family. So that one will help a social worker in a children's home to do matching.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, wow. So my viewers, you cannot work in a children's home and pre-select a child that you want as a person. So it's the work of the Adoption Society together with the children's home to, you wait patiently until you are matched with a child. Take us through once you give me the child for 3 months, the placement, is that all?
No? Because remember, this child is not yours. There are only 2 ways that you can have a child.
Okay.
Either you have given birth to that child or you have gone through an adoption process.
Okay.
And once you go through an adoption process, in order to get the legal documents, you have to go through court.
Okay.
And after court is when now the document you have has your name legally. It's not right for you to go to a chief to write you a letter and you go to the registrar and get some document, some names inserted in a certain document.
Yeah.
That is completely wrong.
Okay.
That is illegal.
Okay.
You should go through court,
Yeah.
and at the end of the court, once you get your order, then you're able to get your adoption certificate and birth certificates. Because right now, adoptive parents are being issued with birth certificates for their children.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. So, my viewers, it's not right for you to just walk into a chief's office or any other office and get a birth certificate for your adopted child. Kindly make sure that you follow the legal process until the court process is complete and you're issued with an adoption order and a birth certificate. Maybe Winnie, can you add something onto that?
About getting the birth certificate
Yes.
and the adoption order.
Yeah.
According to me, I think that is right. You should always learn to do the right thing.
Okay.
Getting that birth certificate will help you in so many ways. Remember, if this child wants to go to school, you'll already have your birth certificate. And it's always right, you as a parent, once your 3 months are over, just start your legal process, because you never know tomorrow. Anything can happen.
Sure.
Does this child have any legal thing that will bind to this child that actually this child belongs to you? So it is good. We know sometimes maybe financial issues can bring problems to you to start immediately your court process, but it's also good to always get in touch with adoption agency so that we can be able to help you on how to go about it. Remember, there's also self-representation. It's not a must for you to use your lawyer. You can be guided on how to go about the self-representation if you're not in a position to use a lawyer.
Yeah.
So it is always good, just finish your process at the right time in the right way.
Okay.
It will help you in so many ways.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. To finalize this, kindly tell us, Jackie, can a single lady adopt?
Yes. The law actually approves a single or a married couple to adopt, whether single male or single female. The only issue is that single female is going to adopt a female child.
Okay.
Not unless there are special circumstances, which I think the lawyer will elaborate on. But a single female applicant will be able to adopt. A single male applicant can also adopt. But again, a male child.
Wow.
Yes.
I hope you've been informed about the adoption process, and you've realized that the adoption process in Kenya is not a tedious exercise. All you need to do is take a step of faith. And remember, the starting point for any adoption is in an adoption society. Even if you walk into a children's home, the social worker there will have to take you back into an adoption society. Kindly remember to like, subscribe, and switch on the notification bar so that you can get informed when we are posting such informative videos. From all of us here, we say
Bye.
Bye.